Casting school. And here I am, not doing it. How many years have I been doing this, Julianna?
I don't know. You're just a pup.
Probably longer than one of our guests has been alive.
Probably.
Makes me feel really good today. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of AM Minnesota. We're going to learn all about 1776, a terrific Tony Award-winning production, right? Julianna Skluzacek,
yes.
The artistic director. This is your 100th direction, I see.
Yes, it is. I started when I was 5.
Yeah.
No, not really, but yeah. So it's been fun. I've had a wonderful time. It's been one of those shows where I couldn't wait to get out of the house in the evening and get to rehearsal.
You could sit down and write all 100.
I might be able to.
You know,
I get close.
It would be interesting to see that list. Don't you think, Eric?
Yeah.
Eric Parrish is what you want.
Yeah, because I've only been in like 4 of them, so there's a lot more.
4 of 100.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
who's been in the most?
I don't know. Maybe Michael Lambert. Michael Lambert's been in a lot of my shows.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he's a talented guy.
Yes, he's in this show. He's playing a crotchety Scotsman named Colonel McKean.
You didn't typecast this.
Yeah, no, I'm not the Southern dandy at all.
I'm just teasing.
No, he's very fun, and he has a couple of nice scenes, and that's what's the wonder of this show, is that there are so many great character roles in this show. Everyone in the show, and there are 26 people in the show, 23 guys, and they all have a moment. 24, right?
24.
Because there are only 2 women. One of them's sitting here.
Wow.
And they all have a moment to shine, you know, so, and to capture the audience's imagination.
Well, and I was just chatting briefly before heading the airwaves and reading your news release here. This is historically accurate, right?
Yes, they
With
took
the play.
Yeah, they took the from John and Abigail's letters and Adam's letters, and then also from minutes of the Congress. Yeah.
So it's historically accurate, but people will laugh. They'll enjoy the music in this show.
Oh, the music's wonderful, isn't it? Kim Schaufenbuel is Abigail Adams, and she is also our music director for the show.
Wow. How do you get to do both those roles, Kim?
Well, in protection of my reputation, I always like to say that I was cast as Abigail first, and then I agreed to be the music director after that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, the music is really terrific. There's just a nice selection of some solos as well as small group pieces between several of the congressmen, and some duets between John and Abigail, and some great chorus pieces as well.
This was brilliantly written, I understand.
Yes, it won a Tony the year that it premiered, and then there was a revival back in the 90s, which again won a Tony for Best Revival. So it's this show has got strong legs.
I mean, to think about that, it's historically accurate, yet it's entertaining. You don't always get that.
So true.
Yeah, but there won't be a test, anybody. Don't get nervous.
No
test.
But I think it's cool that I can be educated. Eric was saying before you hit the airwaves, he's learned a lot.
Yeah. You know, I play Edward Rutledge, who is the gentleman from South Carolina who was the youngest person to sign the Declaration. And, you know, he was 26, and to think that he was standing up for what he believed in against John Adams, against Ben Franklin, you know, and arguing his point, and was successful at organizing people to stay on his side of the fence, so to speak. That just amazes me to think, you know, at 26, you know, who has the guts to stand up to Ben Franklin at 26, you know?
Ben Franklin, that's somebody, yeah.
Wonderfully played by Jerry Fox from Northfield, by the way.
Yeah, I was telling Eric that'd be the role I would want. And Ag Power Enterprises, your John Deere dealer, locations in Owatonna, Hollandale, Belle Plaine, also Osage and Northwood, Iowa. We're visiting today with cast members and with the artistic director of the Merlin Players professional theater adaptation of 1776. This is a production sponsored by Reliance Bank, Federated Personal Line, and Charter Spectrum. Wanted to get those sponsors in.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Didn't you want to do that?
Absolutely. Couldn't do it without them.
And we're going to have tickets to give away before the end of the show. And It may be the easiest question we've ever asked on this program.
Well, you never know. There's some people who don't, never, you know, sometimes those talk shows go out and talk to people on the street about history questions and stuff, and
Yeah, I've seen that.
yeah, and it was some show about a week ago where people did not even know when World War II was, so I guess if you're, you know, a teenager now, that seems like ancient history. So.
Right. Eric, do you know when World War II was?
I think so.
He's the youngest guy here, that's why I asked. Eric's like, don't do that, I'm not a history teacher.
Yeah.
I took that test. I don't have to remember that stuff
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, well, and then you wonder why you had to know that anyway, right?
It's
When you were in
important to know about where you come from.
But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed history. History's one of my favorite topics. In
I
fact,
as
if you
well.
don't mind, I'm going to plug the Rice County Historical Society banquet tonight. I'll be emceeing
Oh,
over at the American Legion. Always a
Okay.
good meal. Social hour at 5, dinner's at 6. Over and back band performing at 7.
oh, that's a reason to go besides just seeing you, Lordy.
Well,
But
we want people to come. So over and back band will be there, folks.
they are great.
Yep, and a
Terrific.
silent auction to rival any silent auction. Seriously, it's a fundraiser for the Historical Society. I just
Terrific.
thought it'd be a nice tie-in because we're talking about history here.
I know, and we're also part of Heritage Days, and one of the events for Heritage Days, and this is our heritage. We should know these things.
Yes. So you will be entertained, but you'll also learn something.
Yes, you know, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
So how hard is it to be the music director and play Abigail Adams?
Oh, you know what? I don't even want to talk about that. It's so boring to talk about that kind of stuff, but we really should talk about the costumes.
Oh, sure.
Really? Because, you know, Abigail, you know, even though she has some nice songs, she's a relatively small part in this. There's a couple of key highlights for the relationship between John Adams and Abigail Adams, and especially her kind of counsel that she gives to him and her support of him and also an idea into what he's giving up at home to be there fighting for what he believes in for the country. So that's kind of what my part is there, but it blends easily with the music director role in this.
Let me ask this.
Mm-hmm.
Abigail and John, were they
Yes.
close? Really close?
Oh, they were very close. They were very, very close.
Because I know that, well, you're in your 30s, right?
Right.
As Abigail.
As Abigail, yes, I'm in my 30s as Abigail.
As Abigail, you're in your 30s. And that's middle-aged at the time, right?
Basically it was. I mean, but she's running the farm. You know,
She's running the farm?
Yes.
Yes, they live in Raintree County, and she's running the farm while he's away in Philadelphia. Now, Massachusetts from Philadelphia doesn't seem like very far, but in that time frame,
Oh, sure.
when we didn't have cars
Yes.
and airplanes and things, it was a long way away, and he had been away from home for a year, trying to get this nation started. So he gave up a lot, and they wrote to each other all the time, and so that's why this part of the show is so wonderful, because you get, otherwise John Adams comes off as kind of a cranky, you know, old guy, and you see who he really is in his conversations with Abigail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. So the costumes.
The
you were talking about
costumes
the
are
costumes.
amazing. I'm going to let Julianna talk about that, but I have to say I have the most gorgeous, one of the most gorgeous costumes I've
No, you
ever
don't. I
been in.
do.
Shut up. I have one of the most gorgeous costumes I've ever worn on stage, and I've been in like 20 productions and done a lot of period pieces, but our costume designer is amazing.
I have gold pants.
Gold pants.
Gold pants.
And it's
Sorry,
kind
but I don't want to ever wear gold.
kind of,
They're awesome.
and a pair of aqua kind of brocade coat, and all the
It
guys.
has fleur-de-lis in it, embroidered in it. It's really cool.
When I wanted to do this show, I talked to Colette Flom, who lives in Kenya,
Oh, yeah, she's quite the theater.
about almost a year ago, and asked her if she would do the show, and she said, "Oh, that sounds like fun," and she started sewing. So she's been sewing, you know, for 8 or 9 months for the show, and the pieces are extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
She really has outdone herself. Thomas Jefferson, played by Jared Mogan, gets to wear this beautiful kind of coral-colored outfit.
I'm sure they're accurate time, because they saw pictures, right?
Yes, so, we've got the vest, everybody's got a fluffy shirt on, and
cuffs and
yeah.
all the...
Are you wearing a white wig?
I am wearing a blonde wig, actually.
We're not doing a lot of white wigs because they were seen mostly as being of Europe, British royalty, and so these, you have to remember these were young guys fighting to establish a country.
Right.
Some of the pictures that you see of them now was when they were, got older in their 60s and everything, and they did have gray hair then, but during this time, they wore, they had
the regular hair.
Yeah, regular
well, and
hair.
they viewed that high culture like that as, the establishment, and they were trying to,
oh, sure.
So they weren't mimicking that as much as...
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Like we were looking at shoes, and, you think of that time period of wearing heeled shoes, kind of like Mozart or something like that,
Yep.
But they actually wore more flat, because a lot of them rode horse and things, so they weren't wearing as fancy. They're more boots and more flats.
And the coats were more flared because they had to be able to ride a horse in it. They weren't
Yeah.
riding around in carriages,
Right.
so.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Colette.
Plum, she did an amazing job. And my friend John Fury, who designed our Year with Frog and Toad set, came back. I sweet talked him into coming back, and he has designed a magnificent set.
Which ironically was the last show I was in.
Yeah. So maybe we just have you in show, so John will do my sets.
There
for
we
me.
go.
But it's a beautiful set. It really is, and so I'm excited about it.
It's huge.
It is huge.
So are we in a continental room or something, or what?
Well, it's the interior of Constitution Hall, one side, and the other side is an exterior of a building, that could be just about any place in Philadelphia at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it rotates. It's like pivots, and it
Turns around
It's
and
massive.
It's got these 10-foot windows in it that actually open and close that Matt Drenth built that are
And
amazing.
it has the weights and stuff, so it squeaks when you move.
They actually put sashes in, so.
Oh my word.
I know, it's great.
This would be cool. Very
It
cool.
is cool.
Stay
And
tuned,
then
folks.
our
Stay
lighting
tuned.
designer, Erin Belpedo.
Belpedio. Yep.
Yeah, the lights are going to be wonderful. I'm really excited about the work that she's done. So the feel of this is that, for me, it really brings home to me, is that theater, especially musicals, are so collaborative. And that these people sitting over here and all our tech people and the people on the stage make me look good every night. And so that's really a gift for me.
Yeah, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
It's teamwork.
It is teamwork, and you have to be willing to let everyone step forward and have their voice.
And Eric, didn't you tell me this is a role you wanted all along?
Yeah, this is a bucket list role for me. It's always been on my list, Edward Rutledge, of something to do, mostly because he has a really amazing song in the second act called Molasses to Rum, and it's probably one of the most dramatic songs in musical theater. And it's
one of the most difficult.
Yeah, it is really hard. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever sung.
Oh.
And
Big range, or what's
big range, changes rhythm patterns a lot, and the lyrics are complicated because I'm talking about traveling on the ships from Boston to Africa and then to the Caribbean and then back, and so it's complicated because I have to keep all the order of the geography in straight.
It's a song about whether or not we should include slavery in the Declaration of Independence, and it was a heated argument.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, so there's a wonderful showdown conversation between Eric's character, Edward, and John Adams.
And Thomas Jefferson.
And Thomas Jefferson, too. And it's just one of the high points of the show.
Yeah, I tend to play a lot of villains because my voice is so big, and so this has always been on the list of something I wanted to do.
And he seems like a villain, but what the conversation is that it's about states' rights. It's about, whether or not a state has the right to make its own laws for its own citizens.
Right.
And so,
His big thing is, one of his lines is talking about being united for mutual defense, but separate for individual pursuits. And that's a conversation we're having right now.
Yes.
I mean, it is.
How many years later?
Right. And that was his big. That was his thing. It's like, we still want to be governing ourselves. If we're going to do this, we still want to have some control.
And you got to give credit to the old fogies in the room like Ben Franklin for listening to the young guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
They didn't have to.
He was a wise old guy. He really was. He had wonderful, articulate way of discussing difficult subjects with people.
It wouldn't get done today.
I don't know about that.
The way things are going in Congress, you know what I'm saying? They can't agree on pretty simple things.
I know.
Well, these characters, they're true statesmen, and we think of them as statesmen. We don't think of them as business, and that I think is a really, some of that is just the distance from watching them, because they say some pretty crude things to each other, in our arguments, but I think the distance and the history and the perspective of that, creates an aura of how more proper they seem to be.
Well, they weren't political parties then,
Yeah.
right?
Not really. And like Benjamin Franklin says, oh, don't worry about it. They'll clean it up for history.
Yeah.
So, which they, somewhat have. But
Yeah.
I like that. Let's try and give away those tickets, okay,
Yes.
Julianna? You want to give out the question? And again, the phone number to call while she's forming the question is 507-334-0061. First person to correctly answer the question will receive what?
2 tickets for opening weekend.
So you could go on the matinees too.
Yes, you can go Friday night, Saturday afternoon, or Sunday afternoon.
Okay, 2 matinees and a Friday night performance.
We're doing the Saturday matinee because we want people to be able to go to the parade. At
Well, I
6
do too,
o'clock.
because, I announced the parade.
I
now.
know.
They always put me by the funeral home. For obvious reasons. I'm just kidding. But they do. I'm over by Parker, and I love the folks.
Oh, we waved at you last year.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
hi,
of course.
Gordy.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll be over there. The number to call is 507-334-0061. 507-334-0061. This way, if I have a heart attack, they can just wheel me into the...
There you go. I know, efficient. The question is, who was a general in the Revolutionary Army, and who was the same guy who was our first president of the United States?
Yeah, you have to name the first president of the United States who was a general in the Revolutionary
Army. Yeah. See,
Look
that
at
didn't take long.
Boom, right away. Well, I don't know how you could not get that one. It would really be funny if there was a wrong answer here, wouldn't it?
Yes, I suppose
Funny,
so.
scary,
That too. That's a little bit scary as well.
Let's just say it wasn't Alexander Hamilton. How about that?
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go. I like that. So you like Abigail? Can you relate to Abigail? Do you like Abigail?
Oh, I love Abigail. She was a tough lady. She was really in charge of her own life in the respect that she managed the family, she managed the farm, she was calling the shots in that. She felt confident enough to be able to do that without her husband there on site, and she really did consider herself to be an intellectual and to be his equal. So to me, that's a great thing to be.
Now the question in my mind though is, did he think she was his equal?
I believe so. He sought her counsel, and even though it wouldn't be probably in the time, 100% like we would think it today,
Right.
he did think that she was his equal in intellect.
Yeah, I think that's really obvious in the letters, and the way her character functions in the show is that he's writing to her and she's writing back, so she's never really there, so to speak, and you get that sense from the way he speaks to her and the way they converse that he has a lot of respect for her opinion.
Well, Pat Redfield of Zumbrota wins 2 tickets to Paradise.
Oh.
Yay,
Nice.
very nice.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-ching.
In reference to the song,
Right.
2 tickets to paradise.
Yeah, Kim, you know that.
What are the names again?
I'm Pat Redfield of Zumbrota.
Okay, Pat, what you need to do is you need to call the Paradise Center for the Arts and make your reservation and tell them that you won the KDHL comps, all right? They're only good for the first weekend.
Yeah.
The
just the first
17th, the 18th, and the 19th.
And that phone number is 507-332-7372 to make that reservation.
Yeah, it's just that simple, Pat. And thanks for listening, and congratulations, because this is going to be a super show.
Bring some friends with you. You can have a night out.
Yeah, if you go opening night, you can go to artist reception after the show too, right?
Yes, there is a reception after the show.
You can
Free
have steak?
wine, free food. What?
Steak?
There will be no steak. Our budget is not that high. I'm sorry.
Hey, all you really need is 24 men singing in 5-part harmony. It's amazing. That's what you need.
The sound is gorgeous.
I mean, it's just it's full sounding.
Harmony.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The first music rehearsal with Kim and the group, and when the guys sang together the first time, she and I looked at each other and went, "Oh, this is going to be good."
It's fun to do.
I'm just thinking about it.
You know, I haven't done a role in 2 years, and you know, I haven't done a show for Merlin since Frog and Toad, which is almost 5 years ago now, and you know, you miss it. And I hadn't, you know, I've been directing a lot, and I forget that it's fun to sing in an ensemble like that, and you know, and it's cool. I really enjoy it.
I'm glad, because I'm having a great time too.
That's good. 100th production too, Julianne.
I know.
We keep rubbing it in.
I said to my husband Roger, I said, "So who exactly raised our daughter?" I'm not really. She turned out well, so you know.
Been gone a lot.
Well, you know, evenings.
Yeah, it's all evening work.
It's night work. It is.
It certainly is, except the 2 matinee performances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday opening weekend.
Right, and we hope that people will come to our show and then walk on up to the parade.
It's going to be hot, so you want to come sit in the air conditioning.
So again, Pat had some question about what the dates are. It's next weekend,
yes.
17th, 18th, 19th, which is Father's Day, by the way. This would be a great gift.
Founding Fathers on Father's Day.
I love the tie-in.
That's true. And then the following weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th at 7:30.
But again, these tickets, Pat, are for the first weekend only. So the Friday night performance or the Saturday or Sunday matinee.
Right. And the matinees are at 2 o'clock. So.
And it's air conditioned too.
It is.
Air conditioned, yes.
I don't know if we'll need that next week, but I just wanted to get that in there.
You know, when you just, you know, come hang out in the lobby, there'll be a new art show up in the gallery, and have a glass of wine and visit with people and come in and sit down and enjoy a great show.
And there is not a bad seat at the Paradise if you've never been there.
Yeah, there really isn't, and there's plenty of leg room for guys.
Yeah. I always have that issue, but there's always leg room at the Paradise.
Yep, that's what I love about the Paradise. It's so cool.
I think so too.
You know, I mean, it's just a cool place.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there, take it in, folks. And 1776 is probably the place to see.
Yeah.
It's a musical. There's some.
Well, it's a play. It's a musical, but it has the actually the distinction of being a musical with the longest dialogue scene, so that with the longest time without a song. So if you're, you know, that's just a bar trivia fact for you, right there.
And every night I clock that scene and say, okay, we need to take 4 minutes off of that.
Well, the languages, you know, there's a lot of funny jokes, but they speak, you know, not so casually as we do, you know, and so to keep that moving and remembering what that is and make it understandable for the audience that's a challenge for us. So, but I think we're doing a good job.
Yep, you are. And I think also some of the other people on the show are Steve Lawler, who's playing Richard Lee. He's got a great solo song he sings. And Carter Martin, who's playing John Dickinson, who is John Adams' major foe in trying to get this country started. And Jared Mogan from the Twin Cities, we got because he's a friend of Eric's, who's playing Thomas Jefferson.
Jared and I did Les Mis together in South Dakota a couple years ago, and he lives in the cities now, so we were looking for a Jefferson, and I said, Julianna, I have the perfect person.
He's 6'4".
He's 6'4" and blonde.
And he is the perfect person.
He is.
Yeah.
He's really awesome.
And Sydney plays Sahlstrom, who's done a number of shows with us in the past, is coming back to play Martha Jefferson. She's got a delightful song in the first act. Matt Drenth, who's our builder, and also playing Sherman, John Terrell, Roger Wareheim, Brad Hagen from Northfield, Peter Connor, Gary Hokinson from Faribault here, Darren Schaufenbuel, Kevin Clegg, who's usually in our light booth, but he has a great bass voice, so I sweet-talked him into being in the show. Todd Ginter, Dan Paley, who hasn't been in the show since high school, and he's a doctor, and I think he's having a good time. Samuel Temple, William McIntyre, Tim Abraham, Drew Whitehead, Joe Worden, and Nolan Vikla are students from Faribault High School, and these kids have pipes.
Really talented.
Terrific.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's been really fun. You know, I think because it was Julianna's 100th show, there's a lot of people who, you know, are coming back out of the woodwork to be in this. You know, Brad, I did a show with Brad, like, when I was 14.
Yeah.
And,
The Dolly.
yeah, no, The King and I, way back with the community theater. And then, you know, Michael, and I have never done a show with Paul. Like, Paul and I have known each other forever. And so it's been really fun to work with people, you know, from the past and all, you know, a lot of talented guys.
These are icons in local theater, guys that you probably idolize.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, I was like, wow, those guys are really awesome. You know, they're
now you're on the stage with them. That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
We really haven't said much about Paul Summers, but I have to say that he needs to be touted as a major talent that was homegrown out of this area. He came from Waseca originally. He did a lot of Little Theater of Owatonna, a lot of theater here. He's done a lot of shows here. But he also lives in the cities now and comes down to do these types of things with us. He is amazing as John Adams.
Yeah. He every night he adds another little something that it's just an extraordinary performance that you will not, that lifts everyone else up with him.
It's fun to play off people like that, you know, and there's about 5 people who come down from the city, and you know, and it just, you know, we just feed each other. It's great.
Yeah, Paul's done, the last thing Paul did for us was the 7-year itch. So
I'm not itching to get out of here, but I do need to get out of
here.
Okay. So again, performances this weekend, next weekend. Make sure you
not this weekend.
Next weekend.
I mean next weekend, the following weekend.
Yep.
1776.
Find us on Facebook and Twitter too.
You're in tune to KDHLAM, Faribault, Minnesota.